Alrighty, guys. So Saturday afternoon, December 30th edition of the show, and going to be one of my last times making videos for 2023. And so, really enjoyed this year, and I am excited for, the 2024 year. So I wish everybody a blessed and happy new year. We're going to be talking right now about a lot of developments in the bowl games, but we're going to start off with the game that I just saw, the game that just ended, and that's Penn State losing to Ole Miss 38-25 at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta, Georgia, or I guess it's called the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. All right, Jaxson Dart and Ole Miss pretty much dominated this game from cover to cover. Jaxson Dart had about 380 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Ole Miss's wide receivers, are just terrific players. Quinshon Judkins, the running back, just totally awesome. All right, so I'm going to now read you guys, what transpired as in this Penn State game. So 38-25 game, Jaxson Dart 379, 3 touchdowns. Okay, and you look, and also you look at the tight end, Caden Prescorn. Had an incredible game for Ole Miss in this spot. So Ole Miss can do whatever they wanted in this game. But, so Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, he wanted to go – the Auburn rumors, this was just a year ago, that just a year ago, Lane Kiffin said, basically there were so many rumors that he wanted out of Oxford to go to Auburn. He considered Auburn to be the crown jewel, the crowning job. Right now, Auburn's losing 31-7, by the way, but I know it's year one of Hugh Freeze. But the resources in Oxford, Keith Carter, the athletic director there, the boosters, it's different around Ole Miss. And this year was huge because the boosters were previously not, giving the money that Ole Miss was accustomed to receiving. That's just my honest opinion. I don't know the complete intricacies of the booster program, but it's on good authority that they were never getting the guys that they're getting out of the transfer portal. I mean, Walter Nolan, the #1 player in the transfer portal, goes to Ole Miss. Jaheim Bell from South Carolina, another weapon, another wide receiver. It's Juice Wells. Juice Wells goes to Ole Miss as well. Walter Nolan, they had to win a bidding war against Oregon for a guy in Walter Nolan. They got, the kid Umanalin from Florida. Okay, who's one of the best edge rushers. I mean, their transfer portal class was incredible. And then you look at Jaxson Dart, who had to, again, fend off competition from a 4-year starter in Spencer Sanders and also in a 5-star recruit, which, again, Ole Miss is probably giving NIL to, and Walker Howard, who's one of the most coveted quarterbacks of the 2022 recruiting class, for LSU. So Ole Miss, Pete Golding is an Alabama defensive coordinator that they're also paying. But Ole Miss, this organization is just humming. And you got to give Lane Kiffin an immense amount of credit. It's not just about the money, it's about the results. Late in games, there's almost nobody better than Ole Miss. Against LSU, they had to win a slugfest when their defense wasn't getting it done. And then in the Egg Bowl in the rain, you could say what you want about Mississippi State, but they won it 17-7. Lane Kiffin can win multiple style fights. That's the thing about him at Ole Miss. A&M too. They played sloppy on defense against, Max Johnson and Texas A&M this year, but they managed to still win that game close. So they know how to surge late. And right now, Jaxson Dart, I mean, I can't help but love Jaxson Dart. I love the passion that he shows for the game. A little Baker Mayfield, a little Will Levis-esque at times. He's jawing with the other team. You know, the team's getting behind him. They have a Penn State basketball net that they're dunking on the sidelines. It's just swag university. The team just has so much life and juice. Jaxson Dart's running people over. He's a tone setter. The locker room loves Jaxson Dart. That's just what I see. And the guys out here balling. Lane Kiffin has this squad ready. And I just think that Ole Miss can even be a team that nobody in college football is accustomed to seeing. I mean, right now they are kind of a little bit like Penn State for the SEC in the fact that they go 11-2, but when they play, the big dogs such as Alabama, such as a Georgia, they can't get to that level. They can't get to that elite level. They're just a notch below. But Ole Miss, when they had Matt Luke or, Hugh Freeze needed to do a lot of, Hugh Freeze and the recruiting that they did with Laquan Treadwell and Kem Dichie and all those guys, that was like a magical, like a little bit unsustainable, it turned out. All right, the Hugh Freeze era of Ole Miss. This was one of the best eras. Maybe, I guess, Houston Nutt was a decent coach at Ole Miss. I was younger at that time, but this is probably the best that Ole Miss has looked in a while. The first 11-win season, 10 wins, like I believe in maybe two out of the last 3 years. So just Ole Miss is at a different place. And now if Auburn offered Lane Kiffin the job, he wouldn't take it because he's literally getting the top prizes in college. He's getting Walter Nolan. They're recruiting better than you could say Alabama or Georgia. They are literally a national championship contender next year. Now, it might sound stupid when it turns out next year, but I'm telling you, the Vegas odds and everything, the types of players that they're bringing in, the type of swagger around the program, it's not something that casual fans are going to be used to seeing with Ole Miss next year. And that's such a credit to Lane Kiffin because he's changed the perception of what Ole Miss can actually achieve. Instead of just being a 9-win team, an 8-win team, they're now they're in rarefied air, Ole Miss. So that's the Ole Miss part of this segment. Congrats to Rebels fans. And Oxford is like the capital of the world and for college football right now. And Starkville and all the SEC West teams, they just must not like it at all. But gosh, I hate that there's not going to be SEC West. It's so unorganized now. It's kind of crazy. It's ridiculous in a lot of ways, this conference realignment. Let's talk about Penn State, though, guys. Let's talk about Penn State for the latter part of this segment. I appreciate you guys watching this podcast. Penn State's body language is atrocious. Penn State has no fun playing football. You watch that second half, and I know that they're down in the game, but Drew Allar is moping around, all right? In fact, Andy Kotelnicki said, don't be an Eeyore, be a Tigger. And I guess Tigger is somebody that is that in Winnie the Pooh is somebody that is very upbeat, and Drew Allar is not that way at all. Drew Allar is moping around on the sideline. The body language is horrendous. You could tell that the weight of the world is on this 19-year-old's shoulders right now. Okay, because Sean Clifford was there, and they thought that this year with Singleton, with Katron Allen, with the defense and Manny Diaz being back, they thought that this was the year, okay, Drew Allar got a freshman year, and now we're going to be ready to see him go off as basically his second season in college football, which it is his second season. And, you look around college football, and the Arizona quarterback who's a freshman is Noah Fafita, 3-star is going off, so it can happen. I mean, you can win, a Heisman as a freshman. You can do that. Or Caleb Williams year 2. So, 5-star quarterback, Medina, Ohio, small town kid, just outside of Cleveland. The guy is so much fun playing football, and to me, when I look at his skill set, he reminded me of Big Ben, little shades of Josh Allen. Like one of the most talented quarterback tapes that I've ever watched, and it was his junior year. So I'm like, wow, what a get for Penn State. Then this year with Yurchich, their scheme, they don't have any motion. It's very easy to defend. The defense kind of knows what plays are coming. No wide receivers have emerged. They don't really have a veteran presence on that wide receiver group. There's no real communication between Allar and the wide receivers. So Allar is not immune to criticism, but he is a very young player. But I think you want like a veteran quarterback who can help in the room that's not going to play, but that's going to be a solid backup quarterback, because you're so young at the quarterback position. You're incredibly young there with just Przybilla, who's a competitor, the same age as Allar and Drew Allar. Wide receiver wise, it's all young players. There's no established players. They're trying to get Fleming, all right, in the transfer portal. But the Drew Allar is, it's dangerous. It's dangerous, looking at his body language. Like the guy is Penn State as the whole sideline. They had no juice compared to Ole Miss. They looked tight. They looked lifeless. It was a terrible performance. You could say that no Manny Diaz. You could say that there were a lot of opt-outs in the bowl game. But the thing about James Franklin is that he is this is the thing about him. This is his strength and also a weakness of Franklin. He's very, very type A, one of the most type A coaches. He comes from the P.J. Fleckian coaching style, which is, we're going to control the ball. I'm going to have my imprint in everything, okay? I'm going to be highly strung, very intense, and I don't really allow a ton of improv or a ton of just like playing loose and letting it flow. On the offensive side especially. Defensively, they do have some juice and swagger. It's just that he wants everything like pretty controlled, very neatly organized, and he kind of suppresses. I just think Franklin needs to let go of the reins a little bit. It's a little counterintuitive because the offense is still turning it over, but I think he has to take a step back, let Kotelnicki have a ton of influence. Take a step back and let Kotelnicki run the show and let Allar continue to take shots. You got to take shots and open up the offense. And even if you're risking throwing the ball down the field, the offense needs explosiveness and Allar needs to play faster. He needs to find the joy in playing football again. And I wonder if it's going to be at Penn State or not. And the thing for Drew is that he has all his eligibility left. So this is going to be the season, and again, I like the offensive coordinator hire, but again, if his confidence is shaken that much and it doesn't work, then he could go to a place, he's going to be coveted because I'm telling you, he could throw 20-yard throws on a line. The guy can throw dimes all over the field. The guy has mobility. He's 6'5". They don't make many quarterbacks with the level of talent that this guy has. I see the talent. You saw it against, sometimes weaker opponents, but he can throw moon balls, that could drop in the bucket. Okay? Big hands, big arm, mobile, really tough to bring down. He checks every box. Nice kid. You can tell he works hard. Maybe the box that he's not checking now, in kind of self-correcting myself, is leadership, is emotional stability, is really like garnering the team, being strict with the team, and taking over. It still feels like it still feels like he's the young kid on this team. And it seems like Penn State, they need Drew to be the vocal leader next year. He needs to own that locker room next year and let it flow. Junior year, go all out next year. He's tiptoeing around leading the team. And by the way, if the freshman receivers are complaining when Drew turns it over or the defensive guys are complaining, you get in their face, or if you're Franklin, you need to bench them or something. Everybody needs to be pulling around Drew Allar if you're going to get the most out of this team. Because Przybilla is a fine quarterback. I think that he could play I think he could play okay, but Allar has that upside, and that's what they see in practice. So, and then if Allar again is broken and the confidence is shaken and it's not working by game 7 or 8, then Przybilla is probably going to get a chance. But it could be can have some competition. But I think that Allar is the key to this program. If you're Penn State, by the way, You're a booster. I'm looking right now at the Penn State boosters. You pay all this money to go to Penn State. I've been up there. It's a great place to see a football game. It's a really tight-knit. It's a football school. It's a football community. They put their money behind the football program. It's an institution up there. It's tradition. It's wonderful, Beaver Stadium, an amazing place to go watch a college football game, rich with history, one of my favorite stadiums to go watch a game. It's a relic. I like how they don't have to modernize Beaver Stadium. I like that they keep it similar, because that's what's special. Instead of manufacturing, some kind of, new bells and whistles stadium, they keep, Penn State keeps what's sacred, and that's what's so nice about the sport of college football, and that's what's so nice about Penn State football and when I went there up there this year. So, Penn State, if you're a booster, why aren't you going out there and trying to get Evan Stewart? Why are you letting Ole Miss go out there and get Juice Wells from the transfer portal? I mean, where are the battles? Where are the battles that Penn State, where are the wide receivers, for Penn State? Where is the elite level talent at wide receiver? Why can't, I know you might get Fleming, and Fleming's fine, but Fleming at Ohio State, he's like a number 2 possession. You need a bona fide one. Why can't you go get Stewart and Fleming? Why can't you pay that money? If you get Stewart and Fleming, you surround them with this defense, okay? Again, I would have selected Poindexter to probably run I would have selected him to run the defense. Just, why aren't you spending money on Evan Stewart and Fleming? Why aren't they spending money on the top transfer portal talent to get Allar just elite level weapons and accentuate the guy's talent? If you get Allar playing well, if the defense clicks to it did with this degree, it is sad because they did waste a Manny Diaz season. Makes you think about Penn State, though, that Manny wanted to go to a school that's really tough academically to recruit to at Duke. And he could have stayed another year and went to a place, could have even gotten a higher job in terms of getting talent. So that's what you have to think about if you're Penn State. If you're Penn State football. All right, guys, thanks for watching.